Well, good evening, everyone. Hi, it's Dr. Ellithorpe, and we are here at TLC, Tustin Longevity Center in Southern California, Tustin, California. And you can see the background is a little different. I moved my office. We're in the, like a transition time. And so we'll be here for a few months at this location. And then hopefully we'll be at our more permanent location. So we actually made the move on last Tuesday. That's why I wasn't on the air. Last Tuesday was the big move, and everything was torn down, the computers, and then we had to reset it up here where I'm having my office now. So thank you for your patience. We've had a couple of episodes where I usually never miss, but recently I had to have a couple. And then when we make the move yet again, there'll probably be a time or two where I will miss. But in general, out of the 52 weeks a year, I think I usually hit an average of 50 weeks and I'll only miss one or two a season. So it's good to be back, and we're in our new location for the temporary time. So pray for us and pray that we're able to do God's work. We just went through Easter, and I attended the East Side Christian Church at Anaheim. And there, the Sunday service was about what would you do if you had 30 days left to live? And the pastor, Gene Apple, said, the Lord knew his day when he had to go, the time had come. And I have thought about my many years as a military active duty doctor. There were military training accidents, or, and other community accidents. And I've had so many people come to my emergency room and die. And none of them were talking about their degrees or their influence or their wealth. All of them were talking about where's their loved ones and things of that nature. So I was always impressed when I looked at that fact, and that we all will face death and taxes. God said it's appointed unto once to man to die, and then the judgment. And so we have this to face. And the Easter time with this lecture that Gene Apple, the pastor, gave was so wonderful about his point that we're living to serve. We are living to care for others. And we want that loving care around us when we pass and go on to our next eternal phase. So we're in transition. Transition is good. It strengthens us. And I would ask you to pray for us that all that we do here is basically being in support of who you are. You are not a number. You are a unique creation of the Lord, and in my opinion, that's my worldview. And we want to have you achieve your best time now so that you can help your family and friends to the best degree you can to show the love of God, and hopefully persuade them of the peace that resides in you, no matter what the storms you have or trials you face in life. And so with that, we'll get on with our questions. If this is a help to you, if you enjoy getting your questions answered, we are not doing this to manage or treat you over the counter or over the YouTube. What we're trying to do is be a resource available to you that's faithful and steady, with a rare missing. Like I was saying, we had to miss just briefly because we moved on last Tuesday night. And give you a resource or an outlet for you to get a question. I appreciate there is a Bible study teacher, Steve Gregg. His last name is Gregg, Gregg. And he's been teaching the Bible for about 55 years. He's my age, 72, 73. And he is on the radio every day, Monday through Fridays from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. And it's so wonderful to be able to, if I want to, I can call in and get a question answered about a Bible text or interpretation or issue. And there are many people, and there are thousands and thousands of collated questions. So you can look up topically. Some people have correlated all his 55 years and his books and everything. So it's a real good study. It's called thenarrowpath.com, thenarrowpath.com. And you can do topical studies and lectures. You can do verse by verse through the whole Bible, cover to cover. And then I like to call in and ask a question. And so we like to call in here and make available to you if you want to call in and ask a question about preventive medicine, functional medicine, natural hormones, any integrative natural issue. And we've been doing this. I've been doing it for decades, 45 years. My dad was in food research. So since I can remember from age 4 being in his lab in Chicago at Armor Research, Food Research. So 4 from 72, 3 years old would put me roughly 67 years of experience in the alternative natural food pathways. So I'm a dinosaur. So if I can give you my perspective of these things, I'm happy to do it. And of course, if this is a help to you, please like, please subscribe. Please share with a friend. And with that, we'll get on with, we have email questions, and you can send in your question on any functional issue at tlcdoctors.com, tlcdoctors.com. Or you can, if you're on YouTube, you can go on to the chat, and I see some live questions are already starting to come in. And we'll take the live questions first, those who are actually dialed in and watching, and then we'll fill in with some of these email questions that come in. Okay, so the first question we have coming in from our live audience is Beth, 1525, and she asked the question, do you recommend to start hormone replacement therapy with estrogen and cycle 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off with progesterone? That's what I personally do. I'm on continuous estradiol, and I cycle the first 2 weeks of the month on with my progesterone cream, and then I have 2 weeks off. Is the progesterone, she asks, in the pill form? Then would you add testosterone if needed later on, added to the estrogen? What I do is I start with DHEA, dihydroepiandrosterone, DHEA. And I'll give it to the patient, and then I'll ask them to do a lab, because we always check the lab within 2-3 months after starting something or adjusting something to see what the new lab level is. With that, then, as the DHEA level goes up, and remember, your lab sheets are going to look at your age and your sex, and they're going to estimate the average American population, which is the sickest chronic metabolically diseased population in the world. You guys are being compared as a group, but when you individually are trying to lift yourself out of that, your lab numbers are going to be on the reference scale compared with all the sick people. So all the DHEA readings will be reported on labs as high. And that's not right. If they did a DHEA level on a teenager back in the 1970s, and I go back to the 70s because that's when they were healthier. They didn't have as much junk food, drugs, radiation, heavy metal pollution, all that glyphosate modified foods. These teenagers would have a DHEA level of 500 to 800 range as 18 to 24, 25. And so that's the optimal building level for DHEA. So I try to keep my DHEA levels between 500 and 700 range all the time. Now, it is a precursor for testosterone. So I have the ability, if I take DHEA, I have the enzymes to help me convert it into testosterone. So my testosterone level can go up, the last time I checked it, it was 150 to help with my muscle mass. And I do work out 3 times a week, physical exercise with resistance, with heavy weights on the machines at the gym, will really significantly put a stimulation to your muscles, which will produce myosins. These are little fragments from exercise, and that will stimulate growth hormone and repair and testosterone production, especially in men. So I don't add testosterone until I first look at your DHEA level. Then I'll add the DHEA. Then I'll wait and see what its impact is in a few months. And if you're a non-converter, and I'll say maybe 20-30% of my patients, females, don't convert their DHEA into testosterone, that's when I'll then add the testosterone in addition, topically, as a cream. And so that's how I do it. So hopefully, Beth, that answers your question. And then DBIS 1099, she says, I have 3 thick fungus toenails. Tried everything and I can't get rid of it. Does this mean I have fungus mold in my body? Thank you. Well, we have fungus, every one of us. There isn't a human being on the planet that doesn't have fungus on our skin. Our skin is one of our largest organs, including our toenails and our scalp and our nails. And this fungus is there all the time. What happens with time and age is our tiny capillary circulation starts to get clogged up on the outer parts of the periphery and into our toes, into our legs. And that capillary bed gets clogged. The hair on your legs starts to not show up. You'll see young men have, typically the healthy men of past used to have nice hairy legs. And then as the man would age, he would start losing the hair on his legs and it would get more smooth like a woman. Why does that happen? Because the capillaries, the circulation diminishes. And what we say then is the circulation is feeding the follicles of the hair. So if you look on your toes, you'll actually see some hair on your big toe on the skin portion before you get to the nail bed. And sometimes you'll see it on the other 4 longer toes. But at least you'll see a hair or 2 on your big toe, especially in men. And when we don't see that, we know that there is circulation, gradual compromise from the tiniest little capillaries, the 1 cell diameter thick passage. What that means is that the fungus that's always there, if you get some microscopic drying or scratch or irritation, then the immune system can't heal it as well. If you eat a high carb diet, which we typically all do, the blood sugars go up and the yeast mold fungus level rises, and they feed off of this higher carb diet and the dead cells of skin and keratin, and it piles up. So it's an aging phenomena. So unless you work on getting rid of aging, then we're going to say what we have to ask then is, I want to get that thing straightened out there. What we want to ask is you to eat a low carb diet, to do weightlifting, to use your big muscle mass to help burn down your blood sugar, probably do IV EDTA chelation therapy, probably make sure your toes, especially here in California, are open-toed shoes, and that you get your, don't sleep with socks or anything on. Try and get your sunshine on your feet every day. The ultraviolet light will be very good. And then do some EDTA chelation IVs to improve the microcirculation. Take systemic enzymes to make sure your HSCRP and your sedimentation rate is down. Check your fasting insulin. Check your fasting blood sugar, your hemoglobin A1C, your triglyceride levels, and they should be low. Your fasting blood sugar, we aim for 85 or less on your blood sugar, glucose. The insulin, we aim for 4 to 3 on your fasting insulin. The hemoglobin A1C, we ask you to try and get it down to the sticky blood sugar, to the hemoglobin protein 5.3, 5.2 or lower. And we ask for the triglycerides to be near 50 or lower. then the fungal growth in your body greatly diminishes. It takes about a year to grow out a toenail. And so, if you do that, one of the topical things that we like to do is put Argentine silver, a drop of it, on this toenail at night, every night, and a drop of rubbing alcohol, typical rubbing alcohol, to get the water, desiccate it, and dry it out. And then over the course of a year, that should handle it if you get your doctor to check your blood sugar, insulin, triglyceride, hemoglobin A1C, and look at these levels. Now, there are antifungal, more serious treatments that you can take that have higher risk for liver damage and so forth. But I would live the healthier lifestyle and get all the other health benefits, including the gradual healing up of toenails that tends to happen. So that's what I would say. DBIS, no, that was, yeah, DBIS 1099. Okay, Dennis says, my biochemistry professor said that niacin deficiency can cause schizophrenia along with many skin rashes. Have you heard of this before? Absolutely. That's old data. That's, these part of the B vitamins, of which niacin is one of them. The pellagra, they used to think that they were mentally diseased, but they had dementia, they had a skin rash, and diarrhea, the 3 Ds: dementia, diarrhea, and dermatitis. That was the other one, dermatitis. So, and it was solved by giving them a B complex. And this is not taught to medical doctors. Now, I haven't been through medical school since the 1970s, late 70s. And hopefully now they are starting to see this problem, and the glass ceiling has broken. And we doctors who have been looking at lifestyle, nutrition, IV hydration with vitamin C boosts, and EDTA chelation to enhance microcirculation and pull out heavy metals, detoxing. Now we are no longer considered fringe or quacks. Instead, we're now considered forward-thinking marvels, I guess. But we aren't marvels. We're just blessed. I'm standing on the shoulder of my father in food research, of course, my God, who is the creator of our bodies. But I was raised in the nutrient world. I saw the lack in my medical school training, so I was able to easily report back to my dad, and he still worked at Armor Food Research, and how dismal the education program was. So I had to do my own reading. There were wonderful doctors, Dr. Abram, who is the psychiatrist that came up with, what was the name of what he called it? I can't think of the name. This was back in the 70s. Well, back then it was called alternative medicine, complementary medicine, but this was a term for metabolic mental health management. Anyway, you can read his book, Abrams, on schizophrenia and things like that, and you'll see he had great success. But he was marginalized. But I read his books, and then I did another doctorate in integrative medicine in the 1990s after I got off of active duty serving, and then worked with Whitaker Wellness, and then some of the great men, Omura on energy from Japan, and Klinghardt from Germany on a lot of the wonderful German foundational medicine, energy medicine. So I've been taught by so many wonderful men. It's just a blessing to have seen all these wonderful things. So yes, Dennis, keep on studying, keep on doing what is right, and God will bless your efforts. Don't look for a YouTube fame. Don't look for wealth. Look for success with your patients, and try and be wealthy and healthy patients. That should be your goal. And that's reward enough in itself. I can't tell you how many of my colleagues, either they might be dead by now, and or they're all retiring. They're so fed up with medicine. They so see the sellout and how they compromise just to take home a higher paycheck than their neighbor. Whereas those doctors that hung in there and did the natural integrative chelation, some of it was dangerous in the sense that you were always worried that you were odd and that you didn't want to do anything that your local board, medical board, would consider fringe. Sometimes you had to move it to a different state where they would allow EDTA chelation therapy, vitamin C therapy. These things, you had to learn how to identify the codes and what would be considered a lawful reason to help people with these nutritive boosts, and then document their improvement and their longevity also documented it. So please, Dennis, stay in the field, keep on pursuing it, and have that joy in your heart when you go to bed at night, that you're making a difference. Each person is valuable. Yeah, so use it. All right. At Chen8357 says, hi, Dr. E. On the keto carnivore, would you eat the fat on a ribeye steak? Absolutely, I would. Yes, I most definitely would. I also eat some of the grizzle because I want the collagen, the extra collagen. Then I take my digestive enzyme. Also, any advice to gain weight on the keto carnivore diet? I find that I lose weight and I'm already thin. Thank you. Remember, each gram of fat is 9 kilocalories, okay, or 9 calories per gram. Each gram of carbohydrate is 4 grams, or protein is 4. So the thing you need to do is up the load of fat in your diet. You'll see, we went to a restaurant for Easter Sunday breakfast, and I went to Denny's and I had the steak and eggs. I didn't take the hash fries or the toast, but I let them give me for the treat on Easter Sunday the 2 side buttermilk pancakes. And then I asked the waitress to give me extra butter, which means 3 butters. And she brought them, and I buttered my scrambled eggs, and I buttered my steak, and I super duper buttered those 2 little pancakes, which I called it a holiday treat. And I ate the steak first, then the eggs. So the order in which you eat. So I primed my body with this fat messaging so my gallbladder would secrete the bile and the enzymes signaling pathways. And then when I finally ate some of the little side of the 2 buttermilk pancakes with all that butter on it, then I didn't have as much of a spike of the sugar from it. And of course, I went on a long walk, miles of walking, and I do my heavy lifting, and I heavy lifted Monday as well yesterday and walked today. So I walk miles every week, and my heavy workout with weights at the gym, an hour 3 times a week. So, and I don't eat past 3 o'clock or 4 the latest. And I stick with my primarily eating in a 4-hour window between noon, 11 and 4 p.m. And that's how I'm able to keep my blood sugars and all those things in the ranges I told you about. So that is what I do to tell you to hold on to weight by getting the higher caloric fat in your diet whenever you can. So yeah, eat the fat whenever you can. What else can you do? Take creatine powder. We have creatine here that is a vetted orthomolecular product. And I'll use 5 to 10 grams a day, a scoop in my water, and I put usually a scoop in my yogurt. So that helps with muscle mass and volume. And you get more extracted from eating earlier in the day than you do late in the day. So if you would not eat late in the day, if you would really try, if you're over 60, try not to eat really past mid-afternoon. That helps. Make sure you're not over exercising. I do the heavy lifting 3 times a week, which builds and maintains my muscle mass. I eat very high protein diet, and that's what I would suggest. Now, I'm not against if you take a walk after you take a carb. Let's say you have some yam, or let's say once in a while you're having um, cauliflower, or you're having fruits in the form of berries with maybe some heavy whipping cream on it. Those are very good ways to keep calorically your calories up with whole foods. But I would try and buy organic, grass-fed, and raw dairy. Hopefully that will help you at Chen. Then at Great is thy faithfulness. Hi. My doctor said I missed the cutoff for starting hormone replacement therapy, which she said is 60. I'm 65. Is it too late for me to start now? No, no, no. That's just a bunch of talk. That's another fad going through. I have started women on hormones at 80, in their 80s, easily on it. I started my mother when she moved in with me, when she had her stroke. I think she was like 84, 85. Yeah. And when I did that, some of her connectiveness and her awareness improved. Yeah. So, no, this is foolishness. Now, part of the reason I think they say that is because it becomes hard to distinguish the impact of hormones out of the normal expected life expectancy of a woman is now dropping since that so-called COVID crisis they created in 2000 and so forth, and their so-called vaccine. We've had a increase explosion in the actuarials of the life insurance claims for so many deaths, so high since 2021 through 2025. It's been up so high. It's a once in a more than a 200-year event experience. Now, you don't say that any other thing changed than the the activity of making that injection available, and the life expectancy, therefore, cumulatively with all of that, mostly the death was between age 20 and 64, the most productive years. We saw this boost of deaths actuarially on the life expectancy insurance companies. And that brought down the life expectancy average for men and women. I think women used to be almost close to even 84. Now I think it's down to 80 or 79, and men have dropped to 76 or something like that. And then what are you going to say if you start natural hormone therapy and you're already 70, and then you find out you have a cancer of the colon, or you have lung cancer found, or a lymphoma, and then you started hormones 3 years before that, and you're now 76 or 78. Nobody wants to talk about it, but I'll tell you, I'd rather have quality of life up to my last day of living. Therefore, there isn't a good, clean study. There's so many confounding factors in their statements and research. There's a wonderful YouTube. If you go on YouTube and you type in FDA, expert witness on hormone replacement therapy. Now, you'll hear them bashing the old dogma that hormones are dangerous and you shouldn't give hormones. And yes, they do. And thank God the glass ceiling has broken. But even those people are not bold enough to say, if you're older, you have to realize there is a end for all of us, and the age has dropped for the expected life expectancy ranges. So who wants to start something and then maybe the family member will say, if you had not started hormones, my mother would be alive another year or so with her cancer. Well, there's no data to support that. So uh, to argue it, I would rather have a more calm, happier, less bone density, fractures, better sleep, better immune, better memory, better socializing, better immune system with hormones, better cardiovascular with hormones um, on my mother. And that's what my mom was able to have. And it was a blessing to see her revive a bit before she did pass. So, no, I start women past 65 all the time. Dennis says, as an osteopath, what kind of mattress do you recommend for a good spinal alignment? Memory foam, latex, hybrid? I currently have a hybrid form, and I have the kind of bed that raises up automatically the head, or both the legs can raise and the back can raise up, because I always make myself sleep at a 15 to 20 degree head elevation angle. I try to sleep on my back rather than be a side sleeper, either left or right. And I try and think of, should I wake up or stir, I try to recall something wonderful to think about, something to praise. And then I just keep on thinking every different way some wonderful thing happened. Like I think about the day my child was born, each son, or something joyous to your heart. And those happy thoughts help me get my brain waves into a level and a calmness of my parasympathetic system, so I can fall back into sleep. And that's what I do. What I use, Dennis. And then, yeah, you thought I was an osteopath. No, I'm I was trained a standard allopathic medical physician, but who cares about labels? Let's care about outcomes, and let's care about availability and reproducibility. If you're always having doctors coming and going from these big Kaiser, Hoag, Providence Medical, St. Joe's scenarios, it is so saddening. You don't, I was just thinking today as I was doing all my labs today, I would see a name, and then I would pause, and that patient's image would come into my mind, and I could see their face. I would say the vast majority of my patients, when I see the name, I can see their face. And so it's like thinking of your cousin or your aunt or your sister. Well, not your sister. You should know the face of your sister, but you should be able to, like family, recall their face. And so it just helps you so much better when you're thinking, oh, I know them. And that helps you understand what they're doing and they're like, and most of what they're suffering or their limitations or their advantages are. And when you look at their lab, you put it in that context, as opposed to someone who doesn't know you. You are just a name, just an age, just a weight, just a blood pressure reading, and they go da 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 data, and that's who you are. Instead, I get to see all these people being here now, more a quarter century here in this place, and I'm 45 years working as a doctor, but I'm about close to a half century of clinical medical care with patients, if you include the start of medical school. So there you go. Yes, I do not care what a title is for osteopath, medical doctor, naturopath. I do think you should have proof that you've been lawfully tested and went through some basic training. But the good doctors are the one that stay students all their life, and they always stay accessible to their patients in one area most of the time. These doctors, now there are some doctors that have to do research and they have to fly or travel around, like some of those doctors did when I did my second doctorate. And I was so grateful they took time from China and from Japan and from Germany and other locations, Africa, to teach us doctors in Washington, D.C., about the world's ancient ways and alternative methodologies. So, yeah. Let's see. Then barefoot in the garden, barefoot gardens. Okay, says, hi, Dr. Rita. My kids and I are sick, vomiting, diarrhea, nauseous. What can I do to help them? I would stop eating anything, not eat anything at all for 24 hours. I would use chicken broth, just the pure liquid, no noodles in it or rice. And I would use the chicken broth, beef broth, and I would take ginger ale, the real ginger ale that has sugar in it, and mix it half and half with water. And that way you'll be getting your salt and you'll be getting the glucose in the ginger ale, plus the ginger itself is an herb that is calming to the stomach. Give your gut 1 day, 24 hours of rest. And then the next day, when you add in some food, the food that I would add in would be applesauce and probably a banana. And then if that was tolerated, then and there was no diarrhea in 8 hours, then I would go to a regular diet. But that's how I would do it. But if that doesn't help, or if there's high fevers, I would go to your local doctor or your urgent care and have someone see you. But in general, whenever I get sick or someone starts getting nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and they don't have high fevers and they're not delirious or acting silly, they're well hydrated, then I just give their gut a rest with the broth and with the glucose in ginger ale mixed with water for 24 hours. Then I'll use applesauce and bananas for their first meal, and then I'll advance it to a regular diet if they can handle that. And then let's see, the next live question is at Elk Cassander Mitkowitz, I don't know, 5218. My gyno told me the same thing, that I was too old for hormones. My rheumatologist prescribed them for joint and bone health. When I told her, she got mad. How can I find a EDTA chelation therapy doctor in Arizona? Thank you. Yeah, well, that's where my parents lived, in Tucson, Arizona. And so there are many doctors that do that. If you go to ACAM, that's the American College for the Advancement of Medicine, acam.org. And there it'll have a find a physician locator. I used to be on the board for ACAM, and we taught the doctors how to get certified and learn about EDTA chelation. It's quite safe. We used it for the saving the lives of children. When I was in Chicago in medical school, we had the lead-based paint still. It hadn't been banned, and the children chewed on it, and they would get lead intoxicated and die as toddlers. And we saved their lives by giving them an IV of EDTA chelation. So it's very safe. I've never had a problem. And all these, I saw my grandfather chelated when I was 7 years old. So if that would be, I have 65 years. I have 65 years of experience around people with EDTA chelation. It's very, very, very safe and very life-giving and very detoxing and very circulation promoting. So go to acam.org and then put in your zip code in Arizona and you'll find one. And then that's that question. Now let me go to my email questions. So Harvey puts in here, hi, Dr. E. I thought I'd share this paper that I came across that shows higher meat consumption benefits cognitive health. Yes, that's true. Meat consumption and cognitive health by ApoE genotype. And this was by Jakob Norgren, PhD, Adrian Carballo Cassia, PhD, Guilia Grande, MD, PhD, et al. And so he gave the link. So I copied it out. So I got the paper right here. Here it is right there. And so I went through the paper. I didn't read it in detail because I got it in the last half hour. And essentially what this study was, it was done, they recruited their patients in Sweden, roughly 2004, 2005. They got around 2,200 patients in it. I would say 60+% were women, the other were men. And some of them had the ApoE4, ApoE3 allele. You get one from your dad, one from your mom of the two gene types. If you get both ApoE4, that's the worst prognostically for having dementia. If you get ApoE3 and 4, it's less associated with expression of dementia. And then if you get the ApoE2 allele, then it usually is mitigating and not as predictive of it. But if you have both ApoE4, you have anywhere from 10 to 15 times higher risk, but everything is higher risk. If you drive with thin tires, how many of you measure the thickness of your tire age and rims for the grooves in it? Your risk for getting a blowout or a accident or so forth, and you still go on the highway. So life is a risk here on planet Earth. And I'm not trying to downplay research and finding ApoE as a problem, but in fact, the results of this study trying to answer for lifestyle, other confounding factors, their P factor for statistical significance was a 0.04, which puts them well into a statistically significant study. For those in this group, they followed, and those that ate more meat had less expression in their managing equal to equal ApoE4 to ApoE4, whether they were non-high meat eaters versus meat eaters, compared to the ApoE3, E4, ApoE2, E3s, all the subgroups. You can get 6 different subgroups of the ApoE3, E2, E4 expressions genetically. So when they looked at all of them and they handled confounding mitigating factors as best they could, they watched this over many years. I think it was 10 years they followed them, could be 15. Those who went on to develop Alzheimer's were, in fact, those who ate the least amount of meat and meat-like animal products. And that makes sense because our brain is fat. Our cell membranes are fat. You know how I always show you that picture? Let me show you this picture here. And yeah, there you go. And you can see these 2 layers here. If you have a injured spot, a hole in it, and then you have to fix it at night, this double layer, this is the protein. These are the phospholipid chains up and down here. This fatty layer comes from the fat you eat, which you find largely in the egg yolk, in meat and fish and roasted chicken and the skin of the chicken, not deep fried Kentucky Fried Chicken like, but roasted with the skin on it, in your pork and your items like that, your hard cheeses, your unpasteurized, unhomogenized raw dairy is the right way to get it. The other is destroyed and all inflammatory. The brain disease called dementia, Alzheimer's, is a neuroinflammatory disease. So if you have an injury in your brain, like I showed you, that blown out hole in the cell membrane, and you're not eating the components that make up putting healing back into your cell to reproduce, your cell structure all the way into your brain and everywhere through your body, the lining of your blood vessels so that it gets smooth. If you don't eat those fats and proteins, And instead, you're just eating fiber-rich, carbohydrate, lectin plant sources with limited amino acid proteins in it, harder to digest, limited in certain nutrients, certainly the vitamin B12 and many others, you are going to wind up with inability to repair yourself the longer you live. And those areas then are going to stay holes that aren't repaired at night. You're going to wrinkle and age. Your hair will start turning white, and your bones and cartilage will dry up and crack, and you'll get stiff joints and everything. And you have to eat this richer amount of meat. Now, I grew up as an Armour hot dog daughter. My father insisted with my mother there were no corn oil, no shortening, no Crisco's used in our family, in our house. My dad and mother yelled a lot over this. Pans even were flying through the house. Dishes broke over my dad stepping into the world of cooking and telling my mother how to cook. Oh, that was fun. But anyway, I had wonderful parents, and my dad was really ahead of his time. Dr. Hopkins, Dr. Innig, I think she's not with us anymore. None of them are. If I'm in my early 70s, then they are certainly all gone now. And they were all against this cholesterol myth that it's the cause of heart disease. And they tried to fight the McGowan conference in 1978 to 1982 on the cause of heart disease. And they rigged it so that it would favor their lobbyists, the food industry, for the plant foods. And Dr. Innig, I think she was Princeton University. She lost her grants because she felt that saturated fat was not the cause of heart disease. And guess what? Now we know it's not the cause of heart disease. And the American Heart Association published it in the journal, the American Heart Association's journal in 2015, very quietly. But they destroyed poor Dr. Innig's grant in history. Yeah, these evil people wearing titles of nobility. That's why I don't care about MD, DO, ND, whatever you call yourself. Your patients are going to give you your title. And I just, when I prayed, I got my acceptance to medical school. I cried and I just said, I want to be a good doctor, God. I want to be a good doctor for you. Take care of your people. And so I get my degree awarded every day when a patient comes in and says, thank you, Dr. Ellithorpe. I'm going to work on that, and we're going to work together on that. Then I feel like I'm doing a good thing. Okay. Now, so back to this paper, it then said those who eat the meat, remember that's what your brain is made of, mostly fat. That's the value of it. And then there are other studies. There's a wonderful, Harvey, there is a YouTube guy. He's an MD, PhD. His name is Nick Norwitz, Norwitz, PhD, MD, PhD. Nick, Nick, last name Norwitz, Norwitz. He's on YouTube. And if you type in ApoE, click on that, into his question search engine, he has 2 or 3 updates on this about the neurodegenerative, neuroinflammatory, because he's a neurosurgical specialist in his PhD. And this poor guy has 2 ApoE4s, so he is absolutely, as a neurospecialist, trying to prevent his own predictive future of becoming demented, Alzheimer-ish. And so this young man, he might be a whole 27 years old. And fortunately, the volume and data and YouTube, it's all available. When I was in my 20s, I was full of working and trying to take care of newborns and on active duty. And all I could do is read books and study and try and look up PubMed, NIH stuff. And I got a lot done. I got well into the truth. And so the Lord said he would lead you into truth, and even medical truth for us healthcare providers, God will get you into the right pathways. So give them the glory. But Nick Norowitz is vetted as a PhD, MD to solve his own problem of having the double ApoE alleles from each of his parents. And he is not worried at all. And guess what? The research shows, guess what we've been teaching all these decades here? You have to exercise, weight training, and aerobic. You have to eat a low carb diet, the keto carnivore type lifestyle. You have to not eat late. You have to take antioxidants, especially if you're over 60 years old. We've been on the Juice Plus primarily, and that has been the most researched nutraceutically studied. There are other good antioxidants out there, but nothing has more research than Juice Plus. So I covered that in. And then hormones help with cognitive function. He didn't list that, but we already know that works. Why? Because they're very much part of signaling repair and reconstruction. And then the other thing would be taking something like things that's, there's this fad right now about nicotinamide adenosine dinucleotide and nicotinamide monohydrate, NMM, and there's another one out there, nicotinamide ribose, NR. These are precursors of NAD, nicotinamide adenosine dinucleotide, NAD, which is very important in your Krebs cycle, respiratory cycle, tricarboxylic cycle, biochemistry, organic chemistry, and for producing energy. And if you don't get enough NAD, and what will help you not get enough NAD? Well, if you don't repair your cell membranes that are growing as a kid, and you're just raised on junk food and carbs and sweets and treats and pizzas. If you're eating a lousy lifestyle and drinking and staying up late and getting blue light, if you don't exercise, if you drink alcohol, if you do drugs, if you have a off-cycle circadian rhythm and no sunlight. So, grandma was right. You should go to bed on time, get up on time, live a routine, get that morning sunshine, drink your water, stay hydrated, eat a healthy, real whole food diet, hopefully as organic and free grass, wild caught, prairie raised that you can. Get healthy fats and meats from animal and poultry and fish and dairy, seasonal fruits, nuts and berries, and don't eat late. All these things have been translated into dropping the inflammation of your brain so you don't get neurofibrillatory tangles, tau proteins made, and irritate your brain microglial cells. The microglial cells that are all embedded in your brain are the immune cells of the brain. And if they get inflamed with heavy metal toxins, with a leaky blood-brain barrier from pesticide, herbicide, fungicide, heavy metals, glyphosates, high sugar, hyperinsulinemia, poor blood flow, hypoxia, these microglia get inflamed and angry. Inflammatory molecules are produced. The membrane permeability that's supposed to protect your brain gets broken down, and the pollution gets more inflamed. And then you start making these tau proteins, neurofibrillatory tangles, and you get dementia associated. Now, that's not for 100%. We have people who have moved in this area, and they can see this neurofibrillatory tangles, and they then start changing their lifestyle. And I've had a man who owned a company, and his wife and he were told he has Alzheimer's. He was put on Aerosol drug. He was told to shut down his company or give it to family, that he couldn't do it anymore. He came to me. We did all these things. He went on a ketogenic carnivore diet. He exercised. He became a super hiker. He hydrated. I made sure his male hormone testosterone was up there. We put him on Juice Plus. We put him on vitamin D. We put him on a B complex methylated so he could get that niacin to help him make and have adequate B vitamin production, tryptophan rich to make his NAD, tyrosine rich in his high protein diet. What else do we do for him? Vitamin D. Anyways, those are the things. Then we gave him systemic enzymes to bring his inflammation down. And he was able to get off his Aricept, didn't have to quit his company. His neurologist, he just eventually stopped seeing. And the neurologist never called me. Now, this is like 23 years ago. And back then, we hadn't broke the glass ceiling yet on natural ways to help people in any area. So us old general practitioners that see everything and start to try and help mend everything. Now, if we can't do something or we see improvement or we don't know something, we have to refer to a specialist. But if we have more general practitioners better trained, we can help the vast majority. And better than that, we can help prevent the next generation from ever getting into the problem as much, and the need for specialists will greatly diminish. And I tell you, most of my colleagues have gone into specialization because they can't handle the work and research it takes to just stay informed on all the areas of health. So they pick a tiny area to stay responsible for, and they just don't want to hear about any of your other complaints. Go see this or go see someone else is basically what they'll say. So there's many things you can do for that. One of the interesting things is just as much as you want to make nicotinamide adenosine dinucleotide NAD and NMN helps you with that. That's a supplement you could buy, 500, 600 milligrams a day. We know it does help you make more NAD, which will help your cognitive function. But you got to do it with all these lifestyle things, low carbs, exercise, good day-night sleep cycles, don't eat late, some good antioxidant nutrients. But the other thing is blocking the enzyme that chews up NAD. And one of the things that does that is quercetin. And I've been taking quercetin all my life. So red onions are rich in quercetin. Capers, if you like capers as seasons, that's rich. But just lots of red onions are good for you in 1,000 ways. And then just take quercetin, 500 milligrams a day. So by the glory of God, by his grace, God has led me 45 years prior into a lifestyle that has helped me not to have to dye my hair, get joint replacements, need anything for pain because I have no pain anywhere. I can work out, I can lift my grandchildren, I can do all these wonderful things. I believe I really have at 72, 73 years old, easily another 20 years that I can work full time as a doctor. And that is all God. That is his glory. So that's a long answer to your question, Harvey, on this article here. And Jennifer said, my friend's son had inoperable metastatic aggressive brain cancer at 4 years old. He went through multiple rounds of heavy chemos, 3 stem cell transplants, and full brain and spine proton radiation. Now, 16 years later, so he's 20, wow, the damaging long-term side effects continue. Most recently, he is making almost no adult growth hormones and was diagnosed with osteoporosis. We are looking for ways to help him gain back bone density, increase growth hormones, improve brain functioning, and strengthening his immune system. Well, Jennifer, I would ask you to find a functional doctor who can take him on. Will certainly help with our long decades and decades worth of experience. I'm very familiar with managing alongside the oncologist with brain cancer patients. We've had great success. So you can give us a call if they live nearby, or have them find a good functional medicine doctor where he's at, alongside his routine doctor and his oncologist, endocrinologist. But yeah, we can give him some immune support, nutritive support, detoxing support. And the last one is Nicole. My daughter ended up having a C-section, and she has endometriosis. Is it safe for her to start taking Vitalzyme? Yes. If she's nursing, yes. And if so, how much? The standard amount, I would take 3 Vitalzyme on an empty stomach once a day. Do you have any other advice on what to do to keep the endometriosis monster away? Because she'd like to have another baby as soon as it's safe after the C-section. Also, her baby was born with a facial hemangioma that is being treated. We appreciate your knowledge. Well, congratulations, Nicole, and I bet you the baby's going to be fine. I don't know, somewhere in the realm of 2 to 12% of babies have hemangiomas. It's very common, and usually they're manageable. There's all kinds of ways. As we get older, you might see your skin, when you look at your skin as an older person, you'll start seeing these red moles. They'll just pop up. That's a little cherry angioma, and that's a little cluster of blood vessels. When you're born with it, I've even seen treatment. Remember, blood vessels have receptors we use for high blood pressure, beta blockers, alpha blockers, calcium channel blockers, and propranolol has been used successfully and has made these hemangiomas go away over like 6 months to a year naturally on the face. They can laser them, they can surgically remove them. So it's really not that bad. Now, regarding endometriosis, a ketogenic carnivore diet is the key to this, and using natural progesterone and checking her insulin, fasting blood sugar, triglycerides, hemoglobin A1C, do weight training, exercise, don't eat late, and clean herself up metabolically. Those are the directions I would go for her, and get on progesterone checking, or use the progesterone when her period comes back. If she's breastfeeding, her menstrual cycle will be suppressed, and she won't be ovulating. I would encourage her to use, 2 weeks out of the month, some progesterone cream, because that blocks the estradiol dominant effect. Now, when her menstrual cycle starts, I would use the progesterone day 15 of her cycle to day 25. So 10 days out of each month when she has a menstrual cycle, starting day 15 from the day 1 start of her menstrual cycle. 15 days later, you rub on some progesterone cream, 100 milligrams per click or so, and then rub that on your inner wrist like that for 10 nights in a row. And that will make sure that the estrogen is blocked from growing yet. The insulin with a low-carb diet will stop the stimulation to grow the endometriosis and so forth. So that should help. All right, we're getting overtime here. Let's see what I can get in here for answers. Yes, there's Chen. Yeah, the Chen AV357. Is that why there are studies showing people with higher cholesterol live longer? Absolutely, Chen. You're thinking with a critical mind. You're not just a high IQ given data. You study it, memorize it, you spit it back person who is controlled by the medical training. You are someone who is taking data and packaging and weighing and doing critical analysis of it. Yeah, high cholesterol was always associated with health. And then Bob R2959, I bought some EDTA for a detox, but I need to know how much to take and when. Plus, should it be taken with my other usual supplements? Well, oral EDTA is very poorly sorbed, so I'm not going to say it's probably going to harm you. I'm just going to say it's probably not going to be a big help. So whatever food or things you're eating, the heavy metals and the chemtrails are landing on the sea and the land, and the animals eat it and the fish get it. And then it's heavy metal toxic in our whole world because of those silly chemtrails with aluminum oxide, barium oxide, strontium oxides, and they're landing. It's making the forests hyper burnable because those are accelerants, and we eat them and in the food. So if you take it orally, it's going to help chelate what's in your food, but with what you already have in you, it's not really going to touch. So there really is no guideline on the oral dosing. Very often they're well, I really don't know what the range is. It's been so long because I never recommended. Find a doctor who will give you EDTA chelation intravenously. That makes the difference. Or find a doctor who has a compounding pharmacist where he can get it as a suppository with at least 1,500 milligrams in the suppository, and put that up your butt 3 times a week. And it's absorbed through the rectal area where water's absorbed before you're pooping out. So it dries up into a sausage so it doesn't leak out. God has the water sucked out in the last part of your sigmoid and rectal area. So EDTA is water soluble, so it's sucked up in a suppository, far, far more useful in the enterohepatic cycle that way, and will be more effective than oral. But you could do the oral at the same time. But I know suppositories at least are better than oral, and the best is IV. And then Cheryl says, have you heard if there is a graphene oxide? Yes, there is graphene oxide in the Nova Canine Dental Numbing Shots. Oh, I don't know about that. I'll have to ask. Let me write myself a question. You guys keep me on my toes. Graphene, G-R-A. How do you spell that? P-H-I-N-E, oxide in the dental. Well, you come on next week at 6 to 7, and I'll hopefully have the answer for you. Bob R2959, a friend has ALS and took 3 mRNA shots too. Any advice for him? Yeah, he needs to get chelated. He needs to see a functional doctor as soon as possible. A friend is ALS due to the Agent Orange in the Nam-War. Yeah, my brother-in-law died of that too. Novocaine. Well, I know Novocaine is in the dental thing. So I'll get back with you next week on that. So for now, my husband's waiting on me. I'm over. So again, like and subscribe and share this with a friend. And see you on the live thing next week. And please support this channel. I don't get any monetary kickback from it, but it's good to see that it's valuable to continue doing this for free. All right. God bless you all. All right. Take care. Bye-bye. Hey, John, are you out there? See, I don't see how to shut this off anymore. When I had this, it used to say close the thing. Yeah. Now I can't see here how to end the live video.
Well, then why don't you just close the whole window?
The whole window? Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'll tell Talon about it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's close the whole window.
Close the live streaming right there, that tab.
Which one? Where?
The live streaming tab right there.
Oh, up there.
Yeah,
okay.
Just close that out.
Okie dokie. All right, folks. We'll see you. Us 2 oldie fogies will figure it out.